I'm Cynthia Hoven. Welcome to Eurythmy Online presenting webinar series 3, lesson 3, featuring soul exercises and lots of copper rod exercises. Remember, this is only made possible through your donations.
If you are not willing to see more than what is visible, you won't see anything at all. If you are not willing to see more than what is visible, you won't see anything. And I love this sentence because with other senses beyond our physical eyes, there's so much going on. And one of them, as we know, is the etheric life field that works around us in our life aura, our aura closest to us, the aura that's inside us as our life energy, and which also serves our thinking processes. That's another study. And then the other things that are invisible, our feeling life, the components of what makes up the quality of our soul, and also, of course, the inner core, the witness, the spiritual self in us. If we're not willing to look for those things, we'll miss so much of what's going on. And when we look for those things and we study and research how they work, how they function, we learn that the core being, the I am, is always in relationship to the pure essential archetypes that we've been born out of. And let's consider every night when we go to sleep, we can reach back into those core archetypes. From there, if our journey is clear, if our thoughts are clear, we access those archetypes at night, and upon awakening, we bring them back into ourselves. And it is exactly the same realm of helpful archetypes that we touch every night and when we do eurythmy. Because eurythmy movements are lawful, are true. They're touching, and now I'm going to speak to the rod exercises, for instance. The rod exercise touches the archetypes of the physical space, of the etheric space. Today we'll learn one for the astral space. And then the sounds that we do in eurythmy, ah, a, e, o, u, and so on, are touching the archetypes of the word, the logos nature, our core self. And that's what we reach when we practice the next level of eurythmy. And I'm looking forward very much to continuing these series through next month, through many months ahead, to work more deeply with the sounds of language with you. But having said that, why are we doing these rod exercises in this first period? In the weeks to come, I'm going to give you more exercises and help you a little bit to choose what your particular daily personal practice could be. And as you know, I said you should be able to really work on your practice in 5 to 15 minutes a day. And what's essential? And for me, doing the rod exercises has been, for the last 30, 40 years, a part of my daily eurythmy practice. Even if I've only got a 15-minute practice going, I love to spend a little bit of time daily on these rod exercises because they're so awakening, structuring, ordering. And that's why in this series, we're spending some deep time to learn them. And later, when you are familiar with them and you do your personal practice, you won't need to spend so much time on them unless you love them, but they'll be giving you their fruits. So thank you for working with that, working with us on those practices today. We've got one new rod exercise today and another one of the soul exercises to work on today. So are you ready? Let's begin. I'm going to back up. I'm going to take a big stretch. My day has just started, but I've limbered up my body by taking a morning walk. Many of your days are you're in the middle of your day or the end of your day. But right now, you stretch your body, get ready to open up what I will call right now your channels or your inner life so the etheric can flow through you. And you practice presencing. You are here. I am here. And in your inner mind, you hear these words. And as you hear these words of the eurythmy meditation, your inner picturing, which is a real spiritual quality, capacity, your inner picturing moves to the different parts of your body. Practice that. I seek within me creative forces working, creative powers living. The heavy weight of earth tells me through the word of my feet. The forming power of the air tells me through the singing of my hands. The strength of heaven's light tells me through the thinking of my head how the great world in the human being speaks, sings, thinks. Quietly let that resound through you for a moment. And I want to say, in your own personal practice, you can also prepare your practice by speaking this. But in speaking, use that moment to really let your mind be one with what you're saying. So when you say, I seek within me, feel how your spirit imagination travels to your heart. I seek within me. And then you say, creative forces working, creative powers living. Your soul opens up. The heavy weight of earth tells me my soul becomes connected to my feet. And I practice, right now I'm using my hands to show you what I do. The heavy weight of earth tells. But when I'm doing this practice of speaking, I learned to do that without my hands and just feel my feet. So I'm going to continue. The heavy weight of earth tells me through the word of my feet. Now I feel my chest opening wide. The forming power of the air tells me through the singing of my hands. I feel my hands. Now I feel above my head this crown of light. The strength of heaven's light tells me through the thinking of my head. Now in the last lines, I expand and contract again. How the great world in the human being speaks, sings, thinks. And as you practice that, moving your mind with your words, you're also working on a whole nother level of spiritual awareness so that we practice learning how not to speak mindlessly, but to speak in a way that we're really present in what comes out of our mouth. Now we silence that when we do eurythmy so that what we practice in speech now becomes totally body practice. And we'll begin with E, Ah, O. Ready? Begin by releasing slightly. To a small extent, you forget your nobility just for a moment. Now you straighten into it, connecting heaven and earth through your spine. E. Without losing that, keeping yourself really connected to heaven, you also Really plant yourself ever deeper in the earth. Ah. And now your heart longs for community. Oh. Oh, away. Ah, away. E away. E. Ah. Oh. Away. 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 E. Ah. Oh. Away. Try to really pay attention to what's happening in your soul in each different movement. E. Ah. Oh, what is your soul doing to fulfill these movements? Now with a little jump, if you can. E. Ah. Oh. Away, away, away. Through your spine. E. Ah. Oh. Away, away, away. E. Ah. Oh. Away, away, away. E. Ah. Oh. Away, away, away. One slower. E. Ah. Oh. Away, away. And rest. This is the first exercise that Rudolf Steiner gave in the therapeutic eurythmy training as an exercise to harmonize thinking, willing, and feeling. Why do we go more quickly? When we go slowly, we can really work with our mind to keep up with what we're going to do. When we go fast, we're engaging the will more directly, and that's part of the specific work of therapeutic eurythmy, to work into the will, but in preparation for that, we work slowly enough so that you really know what you're doing. Now we're going to do contraction, expansion, this wonderful movement with the heart chakra and with your whole auric space. Friends, I took a moment to write something really intensively in the PDF for today about how I think contraction and expansion is the most powerful and fundamental of all the eurythmy beginners exercises. So please take a moment to read that in your PDF. And now we begin feeling the heart as if it's a sun, and spread your arms like sun rays. Bring the outer world into your center. What they call in Chinese the yang and the yin. The yang becomes the yin, and the yin becomes the yang. What we call in our languaging, the macrocosm becomes the microcosm. And the microcosm becomes the macrocosm. Now notice in this journey that when your hands become small, you naturally exhale. Don't force it, it just happens naturally. You naturally inhale. That's how eurythmy works in a formative, curative, ordering way on the breath. That the arms, the movements, inspire healthy breathing, and not that we regulate it through deliberation. Now we will do the verse by Goethe. And in fact, curiously, the verse is reversed from our movement, because the verse begins by, in the first few lines, it says we breathe air in, but here even breathing air in, I have exhaled, and here, and set it free, I have exhaled. Just notice that. I might just say that as a little cautionary note. Bring the world into yourself. You are a seed for the future, and you build the future as you open yourself. Here we go. In breathing, grace may twofold be. we breathe air in and set it free. The in-breath binds, the out unwinds so wonderfully. Is life entwined? Then thank we God when we are pressed, and thank Him when He grants us rest. Thank you. All right. We'll begin our threefold walking practice, and I'll go straight away to get my rod today. You've been with these lessons already. You know, we can practice with or without the rod, but it's a specialty of this series, webinar series, that we're learning how to add the rod movements to our threefold walking practice. We have a couple of new people today, and if you haven't learned how to do the threefold walking yet, I want to refer you back to the other webinar series that you'll find on YouTube, and you'll find some instructions on threefold walking there, including in the first one of this series. But now let's begin with the walking, taking up what we've learned in these series. So we lift the rod as we lift our foot, carry, and place. And as we do this walking with the rod is making a continual circle, rising, cresting, falling, underground exercise, rising, cresting, and falling. I hold my rod with open hands. Walking backwards, we reverse the circle of the rod, rising, cresting, falling, underground. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 2, and 3. And our intention in this practice, which you could do for a whole hour, is to learn to match the feet with the hands. With every step in our eurythmy walking, each foot, one by one, does a complete circle. A reverse direction. Lift, carry, place, underground, lift, carry, place, underground to pick up the other foot. Carry, place, lift, carry, place. Forwards again. And if I were with you in a class, it would take at least 10 minutes to do that. We won't do that this morning. But treat yourself to this. Backwards. Are you breathing? Every step impels a natural breath. And never hold your breath. If you're not willing to see what is more than visible, you're not seeing anything. Feel the space you're moving through, the auric space, the life space around us becomes more dense when we pay attention to it. As you move the rod here, you're moving more than the rod. You are really moving it through something like water. I'm sure some of you can feel that already. And if you can't, trust me, you're learning to do it. Your sensitivity will grow. Perhaps I should say, I don't see it with my physical eyes, but I see it when I use soft vision and look into the space around my students. I can see whether they're working holistically or just in their narrow little physical bodies. And then I try to find the words to help them to grow it. So one more time. Light of the sun, radiance of the moon, splendor of fire, swiftness of wind, and backwards, depth of the sea, stability of the earth, firmness of rocks I bear in me. Thank you. Lay your rod aside, and when you do it at home, please try to find a larger space to do it in. I find 4 steps forward and 4 back to be incredibly limiting. So take some time, go out in your yard if you have it, or walk through the rooms of your house. But try to take at least 8 steps forwards and backwards. Yeah? And remember, when you're walking forwards, you're walking into the sense world. When you walk backwards, in addition to feeling the circling movement, you want to be looking out of the eyes and the back of your head, the back of your heart. So that's another thing you're practicing, front space and back space. But we'll work more on that another time. Friends, we should be really full of consciousness on our feet now. And we'll go on to the foot exercises that we've been working on. Again, if you're new, you need to go back to lesson 1 of this series. We're not going to spend so long on it today so we can get to the new exercises. You remember the left side of the body, the heart side, expresses yes, I'll go with you. And the right side of the body, the will side, expresses no, I separate myself. And in this movement, we make a nice round half circle to the front to say yes, yes, and a half circle to the back for the no. And you remember the purpose of this is to get your thinking out of your head, this analytical head, and let it permeate through your feeling of I agree and I don't agree, and then all the way down into your will, so that you become more connected in all of your spheres, and it deepens your breathing. Very good for people who are tight in their breath because they are so involved in intellectual thinking or head processes. So we will go right ahead and do it in the formal way. Yes, no, yes, no, 10 times. As you go through it, relax your breathing. Let's begin. Yes. No. Feel your backside. Feel your front side and your left. Yes. No. 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 And release. Breathe. For people who are indecisive and so on, or people who have stuck breathing, I recommend that you do many more of this, perhaps 3 cycles of 10 in each direction. Let that become part of your daily practice. And as I've said before, you should practice the exercises that you commit to deeply, not necessarily all of them, but the ones you really connect to deeply, do them for 7 weeks in a row daily. Now we'll go on to the sympathy and antipathy. I love the world. I give myself into the world, but in this case, into my body with sympathy, and I withdraw with antipathy. This one should be done slowly. that warms you through your digestion. I'll begin sideways. You don't need to. At a certain point, I'll turn back and stand forwards. Just might help you to see my movements from the side. So I stand, I am focused on the left foot or grounded on the left foot, and it is the right foot which will be moving. Very slowly, I make this half circle forwards and put my foot delicately in front of me as if into warm water. Total experience of yes, I feel warm and embracing, pouring myself in to my body. And now the opposite, especially if you have a hard time with your balance, you can actually touch the floor all the way back. Now back here, I make the opposite movement. I keep my gaze in front and I don't overextend, nothing athletic or terrifically aerobatic about it, but just a small curve here. So I'm feeling these parts of my body, but most especially my foot, as if I'm in cold water and it's bracingly cold. Antipathy. We'll continue with 9 more. Sympathy. Antipathy. Rest for an instant. If you need to touch the wall for balance, it's all right. Sympathy. Antipathy. Rest. Of course, you need real strength in that left leg. That's why I said if you need to balance, go ahead and scoot over to your wall. Sympathy. Antipathy. Slowly enjoying the warmth of this warm water. And antipathy. Good. I'll turn forwards. And sympathy. Antipathy. And rest. Sympathy. Antipathy. And rest. Sympathy. Antipathy. Always being sure that your soul is involved. Sympathy. Antipathy. Sympathy. Try to visualize your foot. Really get to know that lower realm of your body. Antipathy. Bring expressivity down to these forgotten parts of your body. Tenderly. Sympathy. Embody yourself. Antipathy. And rest. Now I have a different kind of breathing than I did after the yes, no. Do you? Learn to look for that. Thank you. All right. The next exercise that we have been working on is this jumping A exercise. Or for those who can't jump, we've learned how to do it slowly. Yeah. Today I'm going to skip over that because I want to take on another vowel exercise, the new one for this week, which is the O exercise. You'll find detailed descriptions, instructions on the PDF file. The O is the sound that belongs to the planet Jupiter. It is great and generous and round. Humorously, I like to say, it reminds me of Santa Claus, who says, ho, 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 and expands himself in generosity. That kind of unquestioning goodness is what we need with the O sound. Another picture is the E sound. You've learned this comes before the O. The E is the self-discovery, but it's very self-involved. And with the O, we evolve beyond that to, with this loving generosity, embrace the world. So let's begin with that as our task. Obviously, this is an O, right? It's perfect round circle here. The arm should touch. In a good O, let me even come a little bit closer to the screen. You just need my upper body for a moment here. In a good O, the fingers touch or almost touch, but I feel like a connection between them. The O needs to be the right size. Here we are. And it's buoyant. It feels like it's floating on water, and yet my fingers touch it so it won't just float away. Huh? Almost as if I'm blowing up a bubble. Bubble gum, if you will. Oh. And an inappropriate O would be too big, and we have some people who do O like this. Like this. Those are people who aren't finding boundaries. The O should be finished. Other people who, I will say, love too much might be out of their center like that. Yes? No, that's not O either. And another O might be those who don't feel that they have enough in them to love a lot. So they'll keep it small. O, no. With the O, we practice generosity. Let the etheric space hold you. On the circle of my O is the entire globe, the entire world. How much can I love? Oh. And let's try a few more of them. Oh, hold yourself big and round. Oh, the color experience of O is orange, and it's shining against my arms from the inside. Oh. What is that doing to your breath? When I do the O like this, I inhale. I can't stay inhaled. When I get out here, I will have exhaled. But on my second inhale, while I'm still out here, I'm filling up again. I like to be full when I do the O. Inhaling. At some point I exhale, but then I inhale again and I breathe, but I breathe so generously here. And again, and I'll speak it for you. You don't speak. Oh. Yes. And again. Oh. Yes. And again. Oh. Good. Now the next step in this exercise is to move this O a little bit. This is specific for the therapeutic O, the hygienic O, I should say. We make one O here, O. And a second O is lowered down to about the level of the top of the thighs, and it stays really round. As if I'm taking this whole wonderful, buoyant generosity and releasing it, permeating my lower body with it. Oh, oh. comes an exhalation, a release out of the head, down into the abundance. Oh, oh. And again, oh, 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 oh. Rest for a moment. So as you practice this at home, practice doing this first the O by itself, 7 to 10 times, and then practice this two-parted O, 7 to 10 times. Perhaps a word now here for what is this for? This is also to deepen the breathing, particularly works on the diaphragm. So some people are really tight here, they just don't want to feel their embodiment below the diaphragm, or below the waist. This exercise just impels us to do that. Here is another interesting word, a whole nother exercise, not this one, but a whole other therapeutic exercise, is the exercise that Rudolf Steiner prescribed for people who struggle with obesity. So this generosity in the soul realm, in that particular form of that exercise, obliviates the tendency for obesity in the physical body. Interesting. It's kind of counterintuitive, but I wanted to say that just so you feel you really gain something by making your etheric body warm and rich. Now we're going to take the next step. As I explained in the notes, in the hygienic exercise instructions, Rudolf Steiner gives a particular form of this exercise that needs to be done by two people. When I assign this to a patient, I show them how to do it alone without a partner. And that's what I'm going to build up with you now. We're going to begin by taking one big step, walking, oh. And the second step, oh. Inhale, oh, oh. So now we learn to coordinate the arm movement with stepping. This is a preparatory movement. For some patients, that's as far as we get. Oh, threefold lift, carry, place. Good. I don't do that backwards. I only do it forwards, but in this case, I'll do it in a circle. We've done circles before, yes? Here we go. Oh, 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 oh. All right, let's do that one more time, and we'll go. Oh, sorry, I'm going to change my mind on this because I want to transition, prepare you for the transition to the next one. We'll do the circle one more time, but we'll do it the entire way facing forward. Same thing we just did, but facing forward. We will go, oh, 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 oh. Lift, carry, oh. Lift, carry, place. lift, carry, place, lift, carry, place, carry, place, lift, carry, and place. Thank you. Next week, I'll teach you the next form of this, which is what you would do with a partner. And then I'll teach you how to do that variation without a partner. That will be done in a circle, always facing forwards. Now at home in this week, you can prepare by surrounding yourself with this O experience, and you can walk your circle either this way, which is admittedly much easier, or you can do it in this way, the way that I just taught you. Yeah. Next week, we'll go deeper. All right, we're ready to go on to the rod exercises. So go pick up your rod. Dear newcomers, I hope you have a rod. And if you don't have a rod, then you will have to, you can look on the PDF papers and I explain how to improvise or how to get a rod at your hardware store, or a wooden dowel is also helpful if you can't get a real rod. So we're going to begin with the 7-fold exercise, giving the dimensions and the structure of the physical body, going for the archetypes. Are you ready? Feet together, stand straight, feel almost militaristic in the good sense of soldiers standing up for the right, really straight and tall. And we go down towards the floor, up towards the sky, to the right side. If you're a newcomer, you'll notice I have the rod in front of my right shoulder, right arm on top, left side, right side, above, below, in the middle. We'll continue 4 more. Below, above, to the right, to the left, to the right, above, below, in the middle. Enjoy the crispness. 1, enjoy the precision. I clear the cobwebs out of my mind. My morning coffee, below, so awake, sparkly, right, left, right, above, below, in the middle, and 1 more, below, above, right, right, above, below, in the middle. Thank you. I'm going to stay with this for a moment because I have another wonderful little aspect to teach you. See if you can notice now, as you become familiar with how to do this, see if you can notice through eurythmy, you can practice what I will call etheric thinking, or thinking before you do something, which is a real virtue in life. Not doing reflective thinking, but doing proactive thinking. So that, start here. Before I put my rod down, instantly I know it. My rod's going down. I know it's going up. My thought goes to the right side. My body meets my right side. My thought goes there. Boom. I see the right side. I see up. I see down. Back in the middle. Once you get that going, you're really enliven the etheric physical coordination. So let's try again. I see down. I see up. I see right. And then I get there. I see left. See right. My picture changes as soon as I've fulfilled one thing. I go down, I see it, now my mind is up, I see it. Enliven your thinking so it's not reflecting what you've done. That's much too slow. If I say, and then I see down, that's not right. But we'll do it again. I see down, I see up, I see right, I see left, I see right, up, down. Oh my goodness, is that making you awake? When you can do that, you'll be able to go very fast. And you learn to practice this with everything, including threefold walking. And rest. Now we'll add to that the stepping exercise. Whenever we go forwards, we put the rod down. When we go backwards, we lift the rod. We go to the right, we take a step to the right, left, right. Next is a tricky one. From here, we'll go up, backwards, down, forwards, and then return to the middle. Once again, if you're new, look for this in last week's webinar 3, number 2 in that series. You ready? We go down, feet together. I see up and back, feet together. I see right, feet together. I see left, I see right, and I do it. I see up and back. I see down in front, back in the middle. I hope you find it as much fun as I do. Crisp, clear. The physical body, I feel it gets joyful to be so tingling present. Once more. And rest. Thank you. 7 times, 7 repetitions, minimally, more if you want to go deeper with it. Thank you. We'll continue to the 12-fold exercise, which was new last week, when we practice rising and falling energy. You'll remember the tricky movement with the fingers, right? Perhaps I can remind you about this. We start with the arms down, thumbs in front of the rod. So the rod is resting on my hands like this, lightly curled, thumbs in front. And I begin by popping the rod up here. And now the rod is sitting on my thumbs. You see that? Fingers down, the rod is sitting on my thumbs. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice exhale, 4. And then I move around my right side to the back. Important, I then grasp the rod with my palm facing forward. Turn that hand. That was counts 5 and 6. Pop it up. 7, 8, 9. This is inhalation. And then 10. I catch the rod with both hands. Feel deeply now. Feel grounded. Very low. Take the rod around to the front. Turn your hands so they're back in the beginning position. Again, you can go back to last week's lesson if you need to see this a little more completely. But we'll continue now with 5 repetitions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Feel lightness and rootedness. Stay deep in this one. Lightness again. Rooted and stay down. Keep your rod low as you go around. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're in your back space. Feel your back. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3. Root. 4, 5, 6. Light. 9. Root. Once more. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to continue this week by doing a front and backwards movement with this. We will move 3 quick 3-fold walking on counts 1, 2, 3. We'll stand on 4, 5, 6, the deep ones. We'll walk backwards on 7, 8, 9, the light ones, and we'll stand in place on 10, 11, 12. And all of those instructions are in your PDF, but now we'll begin and practice it. We walk 3 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Walking backwards. The upward movement is in 1 count. 7, 8, 9. As you put your feet together, you catch the rod low. 10, 11, and 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up and backwards. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's happening? So feel more than is visible. Feel the space you're moving through, as if you're walking through invisible etheric water. The water rises here, the water sinks, and rises a little wave, and rest. I'm breathing more fully now. I hope you are too. Thank you. All right. Now we'll move on to introduce the next exercise, the so-called spiral exercise, which is, as I'm very candid about it, my least practiced one of the 4 major exercises. This one has to do with the astral body, weaving in and weaving out. It is a way of doing, if you will, contraction, expansion with the rod, in a sense. To prepare, before we do the rod, I'd like you to remember the movement of expansion, contraction. And I'd like you to take your hands from out to in at the chest level, and then out again. And now a smaller circle. I'm not quite as large here. In, and now a little bit smaller here, and in and out. Now very tiny in. Now reverse it, out and in. Further out and in. Further out and in. Out and in, and back to the widest position. Lovely pulsating movement, yes? And now we're going to let these contracting circles rise from below as deep as our arms can reach, rising, rising, rising in these sequential circles. So we start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I finally arrived at the heart. 1, 2, 3, 4, sinking. 5, 6, 7, 8. Try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always higher. 5, 6, 7, 8. And always lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. So now these levels we're going to experience as if we have a series of concentric hoops. hula hoops around us, circular hoops. And the first hoop is here, and the next one is here, and here, and here. I will start in the front now. That's decisive. And right. 1, 2, a little bit higher. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And backwards. 1, 2, 3. Do you feel we're getting into a round that is rich? 5, 6, rich and wide, like the lower O was or like the sympathy was. Really working into the lower body, which is the metabolism from where we really work with the earth forces. To take the next step on this, I'm going to do something which is not always taught. Before I take the rod, I'm going to take a ball. If you have a copper ball, and some of you do, right next to you, pick it up here. If you don't have a copper ball, you can use an apple or a lemon or an orange, or you can do this with just an imaginary object in your hand. But now I'm going to move the ball around me, and I'll move the ball, my right hand to the back. 1, 2. I'm weaving a sheath of warmth around me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Backspace, front space, backspace lower, front space lower, wider behind and front. 7, 8. This is drawing in our forces, the astral forces, and releasing. And now we do this with the rod. The same circles that we just did with the ball, we do with the rod, and it's technically more difficult. For that reason, it's fine with me if you choose to do it with the ball instead. But this is how to do it with the rod. You start with your arms outstretched low. You pass the rod around your right side. 1. Bring it to the front. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You feel yourself wound up as tight as a cocoon. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And one more time, try to go as fast as me, or when you practice at home, it's okay if you go a little slower, but it's good if this is a fairly brisk movement. 6, 7, 8. Do you feel yourself tight in here? And unwind, releasing the tension out of your head, out of your chest, to the earth. You are embodied. Okay, thank you. Next week, we'll take that one a little bit further, and we'll learn the waterfall exercise next week. Thank you. We are approaching our end, but I'd like to end with you today with 7 repetitions of Love A. In preparation, let's think of the needs of the world and the needs of ourself, the needs of our family, the needs of ourself, of our community, of ourself, of our countries. So, and then think of this whole circle of people who are here willing the good today, Tuesday. And with that, we'll let our heart serve and come back to itself, contrasting love and boundaries. We've done this before. Stretch out your arms. Imagine as far as you can into the widths of the world. Let your arms imaginatively connect with others. And then soberly, firmly affirm your boundaries, your inner life that you need to tend to. Big love, connect to the world. Boundaries. Your arms are like wings. And through these wings, you connect to the world. Boundaries. Spare is the archetype of our circulation. The blood flows to the periphery, warms your arms for deeds, and returns to center to bring its forces back to your heart. Love. And twice more. As generously practice releasing from your heart. One final time. Love. And rest. I fold my arms to close my eurythmy practice. I hope you will stay with us for a few minutes of question and answers. Otherwise, feel free to go and lie down and let these movements work back into you. But remember, as I've said before, it's important to note your transitions. Don't throw yourself into doing something really fast yet. Make your next several minutes slow. We will go into question and answer now. I'd love to come into conversation with you. And as part of the transition, let me once again thank you so much for taking part in this. Spread the word with your friends, please. And also, as I've said before, only possible through your donations. So please contribute where you can, if you can. And that will help me keep going. I have so many more things to share with you in the weeks and months to come. So I'm going to switch over to another screen and going to transition here. Hold on, we'll get back just a Okay. All right. I am more than happy to engage in a little conversation with you and see what your questions are. So,
okay, let's begin with Christine's question. Let's go back to the sevenfold rod exercise. And Christine asked, what do you mean by seeing up, down, right, left? I find myself saying the words or trying to look imaginatively, but feel confused about how to see and imagine my fingers doing little quotation marks around the word see.
Oh, I love it. Oh, can I have an hour to talk to you about that? No, but it's a question of intention. So I want you to know that you're going to drop the rod before you drop it. And in knowing that, know where you're going to drop it. If you're just giving yourself instructions, that stays in your head. But if you can see it as a little mental picture, as an imagination, you're actually perceiving, listen carefully, you're perceiving in the etheric. You're creating a picture in your mind, just like when you call up a memory of something. You say, what did that look like? What did that person look like? If you pull up an intention, you say, I want to go there, I want to go there. You see things, and then perhaps you will do the things that you're seeing. In this case, in eurythmy, very simply, this is a good place to start practicing using your mind. You see yourself with the rod down, and then you are there. I hope I didn't totally confuse you, and I promise you, this has a lot to do with what we practice in meditation, for instance, in spiritual visioning, that we become active in the use of our consciousness and not passive.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I hope you got that.
We will practice. Angela said, when doing the unwind movement in the, I'm guessing in the spiral exercise, why do you not reverse the circle?
Exactly. And you don't. You don't. We want to do the whole thing. This is prescribed in the exercise. It's always done clockwise, in and out, and in and out. And that might be counterintuitive, and we'll just deal with that. That's the way it is on this exercise. Prescribed always clockwise.
Wonderful. Now, Genevieve has a question also about the spiral exercise. When doing this last exercise of pulsing circles around the body with the rod, do we come up from large circles to smaller circles clockwise and then unwind with counterclockwise?
And the answer is no.
Okay. There we go. Robert said that he learned sympathy, extending hands, letting it stream out, and for antipathy, hands back facing down.
All right, these exercises are called the foot exercises. And so actually you should not use your hands. When you use your hands, you're kind of using them as a crutch to experience more vividly the experiences of sympathy and antipathy. But that's not the task of this one. In this case, we actually should leave the arms really gently passive and let all of those feelings find their way down into the foot gestures. So I concede many of us will teach patients or students to do it with the hands initially, but that's not accurate. That's only a kind of introductory crutch.
Wonderful. And Cynthia, that is our list of questions. I will save the chat so that you're able to see all of the gratefulness. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, we have a question from Hannah. Don't go away. Is there a relationship between the clockwise spiral of the chakras moving upward towards the head and the spiral exercise? Is it okay to see oneself moving through this pathway?
First of all, the second part, yes, move yourself through this pathway spiraling up. Yes, 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 although it only gets to the heart, right? Not to the head. what its relationship is to the chakras, I'm not competent to answer that one. I think there's many layers of meanings. For instance, like chakra spin clockwise at one point and counterclockwise. I'm not going to go there, but the dimensions of clockwise and counterclockwise are even more primal than what the chakras are doing. So yes, envision yourself making this journey, coming up and out, but you don't need to superimpose the picture of the chakras on there. Yeah, that's maybe not wrong, but not necessary.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, Marta asks, would you mind drawing the previous circular for the spiral exercises?
Previous, little bit of help on that, can you?
Marta, would you help us with your question, please? And I'll see if I can help by unmuting you. If I can find you. Marta, feel free to unmute yourself and help us with this question, please. Okay, no? Yes?
Marta, I can't quite.
Hola. Así. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. My English is thank you for your class.
You're welcome.
I'm from Spain.
Okay.
And my connection is really difficult.
Okay.
I couldn't understand the first circles previous to the spiral exercise. The first circles that you done. You draw some circles in the space.
Ooh, can I draw? It's a little bit difficult to draw. Can you imagine concentric circles? So from
Okay.
to small. And then can you imagine, instead of seeing one circle inside another, can you imagine that as a spiral from big to small to small to small? Can you imagine that?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
That's what you do. And then when we get more complex with these hoops, the lowest circle is down below here, down below. And then that movement, that spiral that we just did, spirals up and spirals down.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's easier
Okay.
to draw with my hands than on the drawer and then on a board, I think.
It's my connection. Thank you very much. Very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. We have lots more messages to you that you will get to read in the chat afterwards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another Tuesday morning with more to come. See you next week. And as you know, you can expect a PDF later this afternoon with the link to the YouTube videos. And once again, the same link to the PDF files for what I did today. Thank you so much. Be well, be sane and healthy in these changing world days. We are all in this together. Thank you.